Welcome to the Vitality Secret podcast. I'm Neil Cannon, author of a #1 best-selling book called The Vitality Secret: Defy Disease, Combat Common Illnesses, and Stay Young. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Vitality Secret podcast. I'm delighted to be here today with a very good friend of mine, Sean Enton, who is also known as the stroke hacker, and also a third person, which is an unusual format, Dr. David Silverman, who is the representative or the medical representative for a product we're going to be talking about on this call, which is something else I don't normally do. But Sean has had such remarkable results with this product that I wanted to share this with as many people as possible, as fast as I possibly could. So I'm really delighted to be with you. First of all, hi, Sean. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Neil.
And hi, David, Dr. David. Good to see you.
Hi, Neil. Thanks for having me here.
So what I'd love to do is just start off by reminding listeners that what we do here is interview people who have recovered from often incurable illnesses, according to Western medicine. And I also interview those who I consider pioneers in holistic health and healing. And today we have quite a remarkable story from Sean, who is going to fill us in, well, with his own story. So Sean, can you start by telling us about your life prior to a certain incident and then what happened? We're going to have to be a little bit careful with the terminology that we use today. But Sean, let's give it your best. How was your life before this?
Thank you, Neil. So my life was extraordinary. I lived on the beach in San Diego. I was married at the time. I had two young kids, two young daughters, and I was on top of the world. I was building companies and living life, and one company was a tequila company. Actually, my partner was Shaquille O'Neal, and the other one was it was called a greenhouse, which was a sustainability company. And I was building these things from nothing to everything, and my life was immortal. Plus, I was training with the Navy SEALs and living just in abundance. I had everything I ever wanted. I thought I was immortal, and I kept going and running and never stopped. And over the course of being in San Diego, I met the Navy SEALs, not to realize what they had gone through and what they had done for our country, but what they've done to protect my children. And I really fell in love with the military and fell in love with what they were doing and the service which they provided, not knowing that once they go to war and they come back, that they have so many issues stuck inside of them, with brain injuries and stuff like that. And then I wanted to get to know them more, and I wanted to give to them. So I actually started hiring a lot of the veterans, and they actually came to work for me. Because, but as that happened, I just got to know them better. And these guys and gals are my heroes.
Incredible. So something changed your life. Can you talk us through something that changed your life?
Of course. Yes.
Turned it upside down.
Yeah, I was. It was a tough journey, Neil. Probably back in like 2008 and 2009, I started to really get involved heavily with jujitsu and mixed martial arts. My friend at the time was Dan Henderson, who was retaining the belts in the UFC and Strikeforce and Bellator. And Dan was touring. I was touring with Dan, and to find out that a lot of the Navy SEALs I was working with really didn't have any hand-to-hand experience, because when you're in the Navy and you become a Navy SEAL, I'll give you some facts here. The Navy will spend about $10 million on every SEAL from boots to combat. But however, they don't want them to come within 3 feet range of their opponent. They want them to be snipers. They want them to do medical triage. They want to collect the intel and bring it back to the Pentagon. So these guys were want to get so immersed with hand-to-hand combat. So I had brought them along to meet Dan Henderson and some of my friends who were fighters. And I was doing jujitsu at the time and grappling. And I was just watching all these guys grow and spur up. And these were amazing athletes. I mean, I was 39 at the time, and these guys were all in their 20s. And I really got addicted into the adrenaline and what they were doing, and really learned the science and learned what brotherhood was and bonding was. And one day I was rolling with them, to no one's fault. I got choked out, and my carotid artery got torn here. And I came home and I didn't even know it was torn, but I came home on that night and told my wife at the time, I said, listen, my neck feels like it's bruised, but doing mixed martial arts, you're always bruised. You're as like an athlete, you're always just going, and you kind of rub it off. And so what had happened was this bruise turned into something where it actually dissected my carotid artery and was sending clots to my brain. And I didn't know what was happening because I was so much in the adrenaline and in the endorphin side of things that I just couldn't stop. And 6 weeks post that, I had a major incident which led to me basically dying and then making a comeback.
My goodness. So what happened to your life after that event?
It's a tough question, Neil. Well, everything changed. The moment it happened, I didn't know it was happening, and I passed out. It was Thanksgiving of 2011, and I was up in San Luis Obispo, which is about 3 hours north of San Diego. I went to go visit our friends and took the kids with us. We were going to go hang out and play with Santa Claus and do a whole holiday festival thing and a Thanksgiving thing. And I driven my family from San Diego to San Luis Obispo with this knot in my neck the whole time, feeling like something was wrong, not knowing that my left arm was going weak, not knowing that I was losing ability on my left side of my body. And all these things were starting to happen, but I kept powering through it, going, oh, it's not a big deal. And when we got there, I think, like everyone does, I was celebrating. We went wine tasting, we were eating some great food, and I was playing with the kids, and everything was perfect. And then the day after Thanksgiving on Black Friday, I woke up and the room was spinning and spinning and spinning. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just hungover. Something's going on. But I couldn't. But I went and looked in the mirror. I couldn't lift my left arm, and then all of a sudden, my face was drooping, and my left lip was just hanging there. My face was ash gray. I told my wife. I called her. She was upstairs with the kids. She came running down. I said, I think I'm dying. You better call my dad. He's a doctor. And she called my dad, and then he said, I think my son's having a stroke. And I didn't even know what a stroke was. And I passed out again, not only to know this, but I woke up in an ambulance taking me to one hospital. They tried to do what they could at one hospital. Because I'm in such great shape, I had like a 12% body fat, and I was really built strong. And because I was training for, everything. And that hospital didn't know what to do. So they called to a nearby hospital where there happened to be a neurosurgeon in the ER on a Black Friday. He immediately assessed it over the phone, called for a helicopter to come medevac me from one hospital to the next. Had I gotten in an ambulance and driven from San Luis Obispo to Santa Barbara, I would have died on the way there. I would have been DOA for sure. And they medevaced me to Santa Barbara.
Wow. What an event that turned your life completely upside down. So I've known you for a number of years now, and I've got to know that you've done a lot with your health. You have almost like a whole biohacking studio in your home, and you've done a lot in the biohacking space. And more recently, you've come across this new product, which we'll come on to in a moment. Can you just give us a quick synopsis of what you've tried in the last 11 years and used and implemented?
Of course. Absolutely. Okay. So back to my story, I was, they didn't know what to do with me, and they had to induce a coma to try to reduce the swelling in my brain. And that did not work either, Neil. So when that didn't work, they had put me, in the coma. They had to do what's called a craniectomy, which means that they had to take the piece of the skull off my head and store it in my abdomen and put it back in after I came out of the coma. So when I woke up from the coma, I could barely talk, I could barely see. And when I went to go ask what was going on and scratch my belly, my dad said, don't scratch your abdomen. They put your skull in your belly. And I'm like, my brains are in my stomach. I don't understand, but I couldn't talk and I couldn't speak. And that was when, it was massive to me. It was like massive depression, like an aha moment. Like, what do you mean I can't move my left side of my body? And what do you mean my skull is my abdomen? And so from that time on, I was in the ICU in Santa Barbara, and I quickly was coming to it, because the way the surgeon did what he had to do on my brain, my speech started to come back and certain things started to open up. And then I came back down to San Diego, where I spent the better half of a year in and out of hospitals, from post-acute care to outpatient and then inpatient again. And my functionality was really poor, from PTS, from depression, and just my whole cognitive way of working on things wasn't really open. I was not able to do much. And in the course of from that incident all the way to probably the last year, I would say I've tried everything. I've tried everything from oxygen, red light therapy, to all kinds of plant medicine and everything. But I knew I wanted to get off certain medications. I knew the medications I was on was only numbing me and stopping the pain, but the pain would come back. It was only there for a temporary moment. So I came across a new product. Do you want to ask me this more questions, Neil? Because I'm kind of just rambling, and I don't know if I'm.
This is perfect.
Okay.
This is flow. I mean,
okay.
This is perfect. So tell us about this new product.
It's amazing, because I've been in so much agony and discomfort, and I mean terrible discomfort and agony, for so many years, looking for any kind of answers. And I've been to wellness centers, I've been to MDs, I've been to chiropractors, I've had shamans in New Zealand work on me. I've had everybody, I've always searching and seeking for what could help me and to help my community to take us out of agony and take us out of discomfort, because it'd be so high that it would cause me to be fully depressed and be fully angry and then irritable. And I came across this product, which is called ASEA, which they have two different forms of it. One is a topical and one's a digestible. And at first, my buddy Sean brought it to me because I was at wit's end. I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And not that I wanted to check out, but it got to a place where I was just not happy with myself. I was hiding it from uni. I was hiding it from all the other people I knew, within our men's group. And finally, my friend Sean said, just apply this to where you're feeling the discomfort and the agony. And I started applying it. I said, wait a second here. This is really working. How is this happening so quick and then happening so fast? And then he said to me, I want you to start drinking something. I said, drinking what? I said, what is even in this stuff? And then he introduced me to Dr. David, which I want him to explain what I'm doing. But I've been on this product for probably about 2 months now, and my speech is better. My eyesight's better. Like last night, Neil, I drove home. I went to dinner with a friend of ours named Dave Stewart. I was in Venice. My glasses were left at home. I don't even know where my glasses are. My left eye is very hard. It's very hard for me to look at in my left eye. I can see the full screen now. I drove home in the dark after a 10-hour day without my glasses on, and I got home within 25 minutes.
Very unusual. And that's unusual for you, isn't it, to be able to do that?
Very unusual. I mean, sound, noise, light, everything, because of what has happened to me, I could not focus and really see things that clearly. And the discomfort and the agony is amazing. Meaning it's like almost like it's gone. And I don't understand what this is doing, because I've been drinking it and rubbing it on me, that it's like I apply it to my neck, I apply it to my left shoulder where it's sublux, I apply it to my left foot where there's a foot drop. I have hip dysplasia and other things that are really cause me agony and discomfort. And as you know, Neil, I have a community that follows me, of course, and that, I want to share this with. But I said, before I do anything, I got to try this myself. And over the last month, instead of doing Oxycontin, Vicodins, and SSRIs, which really don't help me, just hurt my body, break my body down, I found this product which is only helping me heal. And there's no side effects. There's no downfalls with it. You can drink as much as you want and apply as much as you want, and you're actually going to feel better.
Incredible. Just before we come on to Dr. David Silverman, I'd just like to emphasize how much I respect your tenacity and your mind around this, and how you've been healing yourself and also inspiring others to do the same. And your slogan on the back of your wall is just incredible. It says, I can, I shall, I will. It's obviously a remarkable journey, what you've already gone through over the last 11 years. And you'd already made some significant changes since then. And obviously there's some lingering challenges which have been helped in literally the last couple of months. So
absolutely.
this product, I've actually got it next to me because I've ordered some as well. I thought I'd get some immediately.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah. Let me share about the slogan behind me, because in my rehab, I was told by doctors, hey, you're not going to walk. I was inpatient post-acute rehab probably for about 4 months. And I met this one neuropsychiatrist that came to me and said, by the way, your brain is dead and don't think about walking or getting back to work for at least several years.
Wow.
And I had this built inside of me because I was just a fighter. My why, my inspiration were my daughters, or are my daughters. I wanted to walk for them. And I often tell people that nothing's impossible, only I am possible. And I took this slogan. I found this as I took my first couple steps. I just kept believing is that I can, I shall, I will. And what that has done is that when I went online, started talking about my progress, because one of my friends challenged me and said, start talking about your comeback. And in the middle of doing so, I started sharing my mantra. And it just so happens that a couple of my people now have put my mantra on their body and tattooed themselves with it. And one of my friends has a tattoo on his elbow. And so when he walks around town and he has deficits, you can obviously see, he shows everybody, he goes like this and the tattoos across his forearm. If I can, I shall, I will. And so I didn't really realize of the effect I've had with people. I found recently that there's a veteran out there who's I forgot which part of the military, but he actually put stroke hacker on his chest. And I still haven't met this guy yet. So I'm causing a ripple effect, but it's not about me. What it really is about I speak for those who can't speak for themselves, and I stand for those who can't stand for themselves. And when I find a new product that works for me, I want to share with the world because they deserve to know what's going on. And as much as I love Western science and the doctors and what they've done, there's also other alternative routes, Neil, that you really know about. Because Neil, you've been a blessing to me because I really didn't know what breathwork was. And waking up every morning, seeing your face and teaching me about Wim Hof and breathing, what it does, it calms down my nervous system. It puts me into a flow. And I wake up every day just knowing that I get to look at you and some of my brothers and we breathe together and cause an intention. It's the same thing I'm doing for other people in my community. And so I just wanted to thank you, Neil, for being there in my corner.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I love seeing you every morning as well. And the impact this breath work is making on your life and all of our lives. Yeah, you used a word a moment ago that I'd love to just kind of go back to, and that's the word alternative. This is a term, alternative, that's been used for a very, very long time now to almost minimize things that aren't drugs or surgery. I just like to say that because I don't think there's any such thing as alternative health. There's health or there's drugs and surgery. So, Dr. David Silverman, could you explain to us what this ASEA is all about?
I can. Can you hear me okay, Neil?
I hear you perfectly. And thank you for listening in and just being here. And yeah, here to answer the questions now.
I'm thrilled to be here. What Sean has been sharing, I've been seeing for 10 years. And Sean, I think you have to move some of that stuff under where it says I will. You have to add an I did on the bottom down there. Yeah, and I have to clarify something what we're talking about here, and this is really, really, really important. We're talking about a breakthrough. This is what I have seen for the past 10 years, and I started as a concerned son. My dad was really ill when a friend brought it to me, just like Sean's friend brought it to him. I listened, and I was motivated to listen, even though it sounded too good to be true, even though I didn't understand what it was, even though I knew it wasn't a medicine. That I have to state this, that it really is not what the United States FDA considers a medicine. So I have to clarify that it is not a medicine. It is definitely not a pharmaceutical, that's for sure. But the terminology is really important that we use. We can't claim that this product cures, heals, treats, diagnoses any disease. And in fact, it doesn't. The body is able to do it itself if it's given what it needs to do, right? So it's really, it's very unique and it's a little out of the box. And my background is foot and ankle surgery. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, lived there my whole life. I'm 61 years old now, and had a practice. I was board certified in foot surgery, foot orthopedics. Loved what I did. I felt like I was meant to do more than just feet and ankles. At some point, I was like, after 5 years, I was put here to do more than this. I don't know what it is. And I certainly didn't think it was going to be this, something that's made from salt and water, but which it is. But I was introduced to this. Now I live down in Florida half the year. I was introduced to it 11 years ago. My dad was ill. So I looked at it, researched it, didn't understand exactly what it was. But I saw that it was as safe as water. And I had conversations with enough people like Sean who shared, and doctors who shared with me that what they had seen anecdotally. And, you know, things that hurt, if you put something on and it feels better, there's two possibilities. It worked or it's a placebo, right? What I love about this is that, you know, you put it on 100 people that are hurting, and I know what's going to happen to over 90 of those people in 10 minutes. So it's very easy to validate this, even though it sounds too good to be true, even though it's made from saline. It's a remarkable, breathtaking breakthrough. And when the first few, I'm a skeptical doctor. My dad, I saw some interesting things with my dad, and he's fine today. He had a very grave issue, one issue no one wants to hear they have in any part of their body, whether it's their prostate or their breast or their lung. And I saw some things happen with him, but I couldn't attribute it to just the product. And back then in 2011, they only had the drink version of it, not the gel version of it. The company is ASEA, and the liquid is called ASEA Redox Supplement. And this is Redox Gel called Renew 28, same technology. But just to give your listeners an idea, I'm not a hook, line, and sinker guy. I mean, I gotta know something's real for me to really promote it. I'm not going to promote a placebo. I mean, I could promote it probably, but I wouldn't do it passionately. I'd feel like, hey, you know, whatever makes you better, placebo, this, whatever. But I started referring people to my friend who brought it to me. She was involved in the distribution of it. I didn't want to get involved in it at that point because I just wasn't a believer, and I didn't know the people running the company. I didn't do enough research on them. But all the people I was referring to my friend Debbie kept coming back to me, thanking me. People that had sleeping problems, people that had skin problems, people that had liver problems, people that had blood sugar problems, people that had vision problems. And they kept coming back thanking me. And it was over and over again. Then the moment happened, Neil, where I'm like, all right, this is not a placebo. This is doing something at the cellular level. And it started making sense reading, this is a newer book, but reading books on redox signaling. This is an amazing book, Redox Matters by Dr. Lee Osler. And there are textbooks on this. And this science didn't exist in the 80s when I was in school. But my friend got on it because his joints hurt him. He couldn't play golf anymore. In a month, he calls me. I forgot he got it. And he got it through Debbie. He goes, this placebo phenomenon is amazing, as a doctor would say. I'm like, why? He goes, I feel great. I'm playing golf. I don't hurt. And I said, you know, Dan, you're about the 11th person that's told me they've had some dramatic things happen. Do me a favor. If you have bone rubbing on bone causing discomfort, a placebo is not going to last very long. So call me in a couple of months. Tell me how you're doing. I'm curious, because if this is really doing what they say it does, this is the greatest breakthrough in the history of health. In the history of health, because it's non-specific. It's not just joint problems or brain problems or eye problems. And so he called me in a week and he said, it's not a placebo. I said, well, it still could be a placebo. It's only been an extra week. He goes, no, something else happened, David. It's impossible to be a placebo. This is what I love for people to see when this happens, because you're like, my God, it's true. And this is not a severe problem, but he had these skin lesions that were hanging from his armpit. Sometimes people have them on their skin, like little tags and over. And he said his father had them, and he got worse and worse till his dad, he didn't die from that problem. But by the time he died, it was like a jungle of these pink little skin things hanging. And he says, I've got them now. And he said, David, I'm in the bathroom. He says, I'm buck naked. I'm like, okay, that's great. He said, we went to medical school together. He says, I'm putting on deodorant and they're almost all gone. There's almost none there. And the ones that are there, they're not pink, they're brown. I pushed my finger against it and one of them fell off on the ground. He says, I'm drinking this stuff. I'm not putting it there. I wasn't expecting it. This is doing something at the cellular level. And then it all made sense as to what this does. And so in a nutshell, what it is, it's called redox signaling molecules. Redox signaling molecules. Redox stands for reductant and oxidant. But what's unique about this that's different than a pharmaceutical or even a nutritional, right? It's in us. Our cells make it in our mitochondria. But when we're young, we produce a lot more. And as soon as we hit puberty, we produce less in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And you see what happens to us. We deteriorate. Now, Sean had something that was an incident. He had an incident to his carotid artery. That's what caused that. But people that have that problem that he had, where something happens in the brain and then you lose function of an arm, generally happens in older people. You see it in younger people sometimes, but usually older people. You see a lot of things in older people you don't see in younger people. You don't see a lot of heart issues in younger people. You don't see a lot of immune system issues. In fact, immune systems in younger people are much stronger than older people. Just look at what's been going on in the world the past 2 years. Younger people aren't that at risk. So what happens is at puberty, our mitochondria start going downhill. They're not as efficient. We start producing less and less. And okay, then the question is, you asked me, how does it work? What does it do? It doesn't heal or cure you. It amplifies signaling. It makes it so that our cells can hear one another. When something is wrong with a cell, the immune system has to know about it so it can go get rid of the bad cell. A new cell can take its place, right? And how that basically happens, they're double-blind studies. I am simplifying this because I know we're not talking science here. I can give science references, but our body's made up of cells. And if these are healthy cells in my liver, I don't have liver disease. If this is healthy cells in my retina, I don't have eye disease. If these are healthy cells in my pancreas, I don't have diabetes, right? But if I have enough cells that go bad in my pancreas and I'm not producing enough insulin, then I go to the doctor. I say, hey, I'm thirsty all the time. I'm urinating. Oh, Dr. Silverman, we just did your blood. Your glucose is 500. You need to be on that metformin. You need to be on insulin because I've got a problem with my pancreas, or my cells are resistant to insulin, whichever the case may be. But they write me a prescription. And the problem is I have enough bad cells and my body's not taking care of itself. Well, our cells all have a lifespan, Neil. Everything has a lifespan. Our skin cells, our liver cells, our bone cells last 7 to 10 years, but they end up getting older and they die and they need to be replaced with good ones. So if you have enough bad ones that remain, then you're going to have a disease. Well, we don't all I don't have diabetes. We're made up of 70 to 100 trillion cells. I have millions of them dying now. So do you, so does Sean. But our immune system is getting rid of those bad cells and replacing it with a good one. And the way it does it, and I'm getting to this, is that bad cell has to be detected. Am I detecting the cells in my pancreas dying? No, not consciously, but my cells are. The cells that are around the bad cell detects there's a problem here. And they're like, this cell is dying. A signal goes. Remember, this is 3-dimensional, so there's a lot of cells around this bad one. They're all calling for help. Help, bad cell in the pancreas. The immune system cells that are like millions of little ambulances. I'm trying to make this visual, waiting for a 911 call or whatever, 112 in Europe or 995 in Asia, waiting for a 911 call. Okay. The immune system gets the signal because help comes down, signals the cell to kill itself. It's called apoptosis, engulfs the cell, dissolves it with acid, carries the debris away in the lymph system, and it's gone. And the good cell, this is simplified, replicates itself. Now I have a healthy cell. I don't have diabetes. Well, this happens in every part of our body. It's constantly happening. But you know what? It happens faster in children. Children don't have a lot of health issues. Children heal faster from injuries. A 10-year-old will heal faster than a 20-year-old from the same injury, right? The 50-year-old having the same injury will heal slower and might have complications. An 80-year-old with the same injury might die then or afterwards. So what is it that redox signaling molecules do in our body? This is simplified, okay? But this is the miracle of this with complete safety, because you can't be allergic to it. It's in you. There's no toxicity. You can basically drink as much as you want. You can't overdose on it. And third, it doesn't interfere with any other treatment someone might be doing. Now, we don't call this a treatment. We don't call it a medicine, but it doesn't interfere with anything else anybody's doing. They can keep taking their medicines, their herbs, their acupuncture, their hyperbaric oxygen, their hypnosis. They keep doing everything they're doing and baseline where they are today. If they're weak, if they're hurting, if they have ringing in their ears, what their blood sugar level, here's where I am today, and they start drinking this stuff, right?
Can I interject at something quickly?
Yes, yes.
I think, unless you're going to lose your train of thought, it's just about the body electric. The mitochondria is often known as the battery of the cell, the energy supply of the cell.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Dr. Jerry Tennant, who wrote Healing is Voltage, among these, you quoted 50 to 100 trillion cells. Bruce Lipton talks about 50 trillion. Other people say 100 trillion. We're a lot of cells. And every one of these cells makes up different organ parts.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those cells requires feeding. At the top of the hierarchy is typically oxygen, then water, then nutrients, and then they have to be able to eliminate waste. And they also need rest and sleep. There's two quotes from Jerry Tennant, which I thought I'd bring in here just to help emphasize the importance of cell health. A characteristic of all chronic illness is low voltage to an organ. It's not enough power getting to an organ. And the other one is, a characteristic of all chronic illness is when the body loses the ability to create new cells that work. And that's what you're talking about with what happens with age and as the body kind of changes over our lifespans, often due to toxicity, often due to chronic inflammation, often due to inactivity, but it's often a deprivation of cell fuels and too many toxins and trauma as well. So I just wanted to put that in there because you're talking about cell health, because this gets right into the cell. And if we understand us as a collection of cells rather than meat suits with different organs, and that these cells create the organs, and if we can get right into the cell and we address it at the cellular level, that's the key to vitality, I think. And that's why I love this product, because it goes right into the cell.
You're right. If the cells are healthy, we're healthy. Right.
Yeah.
But that's not really the approach of Western medicine. Western medicine, in my opinion, is great in crisis care. It saved Sean's life. But then once he's left with the residual problems, what's the answer? Opioids and antidepressants and all these things. But we're an amazing crisis care. Western medicine is amazing. But just to finish the thought on this, remember, this doesn't cure or heal you, right? It does not. So what does it do? The redox molecules in you. When this cell is calling for help, because this cell is old and worn out or damaged by trauma or mutating. We all have cells mutating. We don't all get cancer, right? But the older people are, every decade of life, more incidence of cancer, right? And again, I'm not claiming that this product cures, heals, or treats anything. This is just called connecting the dots. And that's why I love this book, connecting the dots between redox biology and health, because you have to connect the dots. But if you stay with me, so the good cell detects the problem and calls for help. The immune system cell comes down, kills the cell, gets rid of it, new cell takes its place. What do redox molecules do? The more you have, the louder the signal. They amplify signal. So the immune system, if it's loud and clear, the immune system says, oh, Johnny fell off his bicycle and broke his arm. Boy, kids heal fast because the signal's so loud. And then in your 20s, the signal goes down a little bit. By the time you're 50, the signal that was help, help. Well, I'm 61. Now the signal would be help, help. When I'm 80, it'll be help, help. When you drink this product, which is what's in us, it's in us. You're just raising the levels back up to what they were when you were younger. And that just makes the signal loud. And then people say, well, this sounds too good to be true. How did it help this person with this? Or why did this person say unrelated problems, completely different systems? Because the immune system doesn't care what kind of cell this is. If it's a retina cell, lung cell, prostate cell, it doesn't matter. If the signal is loud, the immune system can do what it's supposed to do. In a nutshell, Neil, that's what this does. Double-blind placebo-controlled studies done by Torre Labs, showing that, we all know the term epigenetics. As we age, our genetic expression decreases. So even the genes that are telling the cells which proteins to produce, genetic expression, that goes down. Well, this amplifies that signaling, and that's proven. So it's a safe product that's in us that sounds too good to be true, that was almost bought by a pharmaceutical company in 2007. Thank God the founders of the company did not sell out. There are a lot of people who would sell out for a monster check.
I just got goosebumps. Yeah, thank God they didn't sell out. Yeah. It's remarkable from what I'm learning about it so far, and I've already shared it with quite a few people. So, Sean, can we go back to you?
I mentioned
one last thing.
One last thing. I need to, because when people go online and they look, and they need to get this through an actual ASEA distributor, because there's counterfeit product. This is produced in an FDA registered production facility in the US. It's shipped to 33 countries around the world. I think you just got some for your dad over across the pond. But the gel version, it's called Renew 28. And when you look at this, by the way, this is made from salt water. I shot a video called itwassaltwater.com. It's not salt water anymore, but it's made from those atoms, sodium, chloride, hydrogen, oxygen, in a different form, reductants and oxidants. But the gel, it looks like it's for wrinkles. And everybody that wants to look younger, great, because you do look younger. It makes your skin younger skin, right?
You're 150, aren't you?
Yeah, 152. But I'm 61. But I mean, look, most people don't think I look 61, but I'm telling you, Neil, I feel like I'm in my 20s. I play golf pretty much every day. I used to play golf in my 30s and take ibuprofen for a couple of days afterwards. I play every day. I don't take anything. And part of it is this, and Neil was talking about it, and he's going to finish up on it, but this is the drink in a gel form. And when you shake it up, it turns into this gel. Right? And it's clear, there's no smell, and there's no greasiness. I'm putting it on my face. That's what it's marketed for. So when you use this, take pictures of your skin, wrinkles, skin issues, if you have scars, pimples, cellulite, just take pictures and put it on every day and watch what happens. But anybody who wants to know that this is real quickly, this could take 1 day, could take 90 days. The drink, 1 day, 10 minutes. You find 10
gel.
The gel.
Hey, let me say something. Let me say something regarding the gel, just so everyone knows. I've been through, as you know, and Dr. Silverman, I've been through massive surgeries, massive amount of care. Look at my face right now. I've been applying the gel for a month. And what's kind of interesting that I haven't shared with anybody is all of a sudden my eyebrows are working. And I don't get it. I don't understand why all of a sudden after a month, my left eye is going up and down. I can't give credit. I don't know where the credit's coming from. Maybe something's turning on, but if you guys notice, I don't have any. I'm 50, and people look at me and they go, "How's your skin so good? Like, should I be doing ads for Revlon?" I'm like, I just put this on my face. So I mean, and then I have scars on my abdomen. Where they did the craniectomy, they put the skull in my head. In my abdomen, those scars are starting to go away after 10 years. I don't understand. I just don't. And let me go into, I've got another question for you, David, too, while we're on this topic, is what really bothers me a lot regarding our veterans is we spend all this money on them to go to war, to take care of them. But when they come back home from war, the VA does absolutely nothing. There's nothing to help these men and women, reintegrate back into society. There's no money. There's no health care. Why can't I find this more amongst our people? Like, why is this not being able, like why can't we get this on more people's hands? And why can't we help people who are first responders and our veterans who we really need to take care of?
Well, I'll just say this, that when they turned down the offer from the pharmaceutical company, they decided they're not going to go that route. So this is considered a supplement. This is considered a cosmetic product. But I was going to say, put it on 10 people who are hurting 3 times in 5 minutes, and you will 100% know that this is something very significant. Just watch what happens if 5 people said, "Wow, this is amazing," in 10 minutes. That would be impressive. What if it was 9 out of 10? What if it was 9 out of 10 people said, "What did you just do? How did that happen?" So when people see that happen, they know that the book, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, that, things that new ideas, concepts, whatever, it needs to hit a tipping point, and then it just goes through the roof. And we're not there yet. We can't make medical claims with this. This is not a medicine. So we can't say what it does. And it's not playing games. It's just the way the world is set up right now. And all 33 countries we're in, we can't make any claims as to what it does, but people can experience it with a money back guarantee and safe as water. They try it, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier too. So we're not just talking about physical things. It's going to get there. We need people with spheres of influence to say, "Prove it to me and I'll bring it to my sphere," right? Because this is how things go viral, and we're getting very close after 12 years. So I pray that we get it to everybody in the military.
Well, thank you.
Totally. Let's do it. Yeah, that's why getting this kind of interview out to many people is going to be very, very beneficial to a lot of people. By the way, the eyebrows thing, to people who don't know you, Sean, that's not going to make any sense. But one of them, you couldn't move, could you?
Yeah, no. Very hard to. Very hard to.
Amazing.
I'm not making any claim. I'm not saying anything. All of a sudden, in the last month, something's going on where I'm like, my left side, what I call my weak side, is starting to wake up. And it's usually on the colder side, but I feel like there's more blood flow coming through and more oxygen coming into my body. And, you know, I have.
You want me to explain it to you? I'll explain
Yes.
it to you right now. You're seeing changes on yourself, and you've already helped a lot of people. And you're like I was 10 years ago. You're like this. Wow. So you're doing that a lot. That's all.
Right. Exactly. No, but you know, what I was gonna say is that, Neil, as you know, I've tried everything. I've got a Livo2 in my place. I work with Therabody. I work with a lot of big companies, and I've tried everything, but there's always an underlying, you know, the trauma. I tell everybody the disability, you can see it on my body from the neck down, but there's so many people have disability from the neck up. And I've always say to everyone, Dr. Mark Golson was on his podcast, cortisol is like active cocaine for the brain. If you can turn on that serotonin or the dopamine and really flood the brain with love chemicals instead of always being fight or flight, your body's going to heal. I think it's going to heal faster than normal, because this is the mind is so powerful. The brain is so powerful. It can then heal the body, but this has got to be taken care of first. And the nervous system's got to be at a flow. And that's what I really find with me, is that I'm calmer. I'm a lot more relaxed. I'm less hyper, sleeping better. And I feel great.
That's incredible. I love that you touched on the mind then, because the mind is, I would say, in that hierarchy, it's above the physical fuels, because the brain is going to control everything. It's like the governor of all of these cells. You know, we talked about epigenetics earlier, and epigenetics really refers to how it's the environment above the genes that triggers the health of the genes and thus the health of our cells. And the brain is like the main organ that determines the environment of these cells. Of course, we need the essential cell fuels, but the brain is so important. That's why the placebo effect scientifically works, as does the nocebo effect. So if you can feed the brain with what it needs to then feed the cells, it's like a you know, a system that all works interconnectedly. It's not a word. It is
absolutely
now. But it's so important that we're fueling the brain with this stuff, which then helps you fuel the rest of your body, but literally by having a better frame of mind and mental well-being.
Absolutely. And let me also say on this point, you know, in my time from now, in my body, every time I walk into a wellness facility or a new alternative way of looking at things, for me or for anyone in my body, it's $10,000 literally to start a new trial, to start a new whole thing. And there's great doctors out there, great wellness facilities, but how many tens of thousands of dollars do I have to spend? I've already spent probably, outside of insurance, another $500,000 to $750,000 to walk again. And it's worth every penny. But if I can spend the money on a few $100 a month on this redox and this renew and get the results, that's a really good cost benefit for anybody in my community, because we all want to regain some functionality and want to regain happiness and want to regain love and be integrated back with our lives. And that's what I keep telling people, because when you're in that dark moment, you're always looking for that white light to turn on or that candle to turn on in that dark room. And I really think this is our candle that's going through the darkness, saying it's right here for you. And all you can do is turn the lighter and turn this candle on. It's going to take you out of that darkness and then into the light. And that's the way I look at it, because it's very cost effective too. And it can't hurt us. I mean, everyone asks me, you know, I'll sit around with people and they'll talk about, you know, their drug addictions. I've been a first drug addict. They put me on so many drugs at one point. I didn't know what I was doing. And I needed to get off all those just to even find myself, which I then experimented with other modalities. But you know, I still take my blood thinners. I still take my other stuff with this in my body and the redox. There's no counter effects. There's no counter measurements. You know, it all goes hand in hand. You know, my blood levels I took recently are the same, if not better. I stopped my blood pressure. My blood pressure is now, I think, 130/90, which I think, doc, that's pretty damn good considering everything I've been through. I think he froze. Did Dave freeze?
Am I frozen?
Oh, no, you're not froze. No, I was just asking. My blood pressure was good over 130
Yeah.
over 90. Yeah.
No, and look, you said a few $100s a month. You're taking a lot. I mean, you're like, let's rock with this thing. You're going
Right.
crazy, which is fine because you can't take too much. The
Right.
saturation, but it
Right.
doesn't cost a few $100s a month for most people.
Okay.
It's like $130 a month for the
Okay.
normal amount, which is a couple ounces twice a day. I
Mhm.
take twice that. I mean,
Mhm.
I took that, but now I'm at 8 ounces a day. And the older someone is, the sicker or the bigger they are. Generally, they're taking the 8 ounces a day. I'm not old, I don't think. I'm not big and I'm not sick. I don't take a single medication, but I feel like $1 million at 8 ounces a day. So it's not like it's that expensive. And the gel is like, $40 a tube.
Right.
But it's a breakthrough. And I just
Right.
pray that the people that are, look, a lot of people have given up hope.
Right.
They're parents with kids that children are like on the spectrum, and it affects the whole family. People that have their brain, and they've just given up hope. And we can't promise this is going to help. We can promise it isn't going to hurt. I mean, it's safe as water. But then there are people, they haven't given up hope, but they're hurting every day. So they're taking anti-inflammatories, which most people don't read the label. Anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen and naproxen, it says don't take it for more than 2 weeks in a row. It increases your chance of heart attack and stroke, I think 25%. But people are stuck. It's like, well, I got to go to work. I'm either going to have surgery or I'm going to suffer. I'm going to take the pills. So they say I'm going to roll the dice and take the pills. So I don't think they've given up hope, but they're suffering. People don't sleep well like they do.
Okay.
And that's
but
also,
David, hold on. Yeah, but David, going back to your point, without insurance, you being a doctor, how much did it cost to have foot surgery out of pocket?
Well, I always chopped it in half for people that were not their foot, the feet.
Okay, I get
it. It's expensive without.
What I'm saying, my neurologist without insurance, for me to go see my neurologist, who I adore and I love, is going to give me a prescription and tell me to give me a prescription to go back into PT, is $900 an hour. I mean, if you don't have insurance in this country, you're really screwed. I mean, excuse my language, you're fucked. So for $100-something a month, I can get this, and I can get things turned on again in my body where I can feel free, and to me, it's a lot more cost effective, is what I'm trying to explain.
It is,
and that's just financial cost effectiveness. There's the adage that if we don't invest now, we pay later. And this is a very small investment in one's health. And the thing with medication as well, I have found, in fact, it's not just I have found, we know that it affects the microbiome. So if we're taking these drugs all the time, we're affecting the very organ we need to heal to get rid of our symptoms. And then you get more and more symptoms because you're taking one drug, which leads to another drug, which leads to another drug, pill for an L, pill for a pill. This gets right into the cell. So we hopefully can help the body to heal itself, heal the microbiome. So symptoms naturally go away. That's why I love this product so much. Just a thought I had about the salt and water. I know it's a little bit more than that. Nature gives us clues. We know that tears in the eyes are salt water tears. We know the ocean, which is one of the most healing things any of us could be in. Another reason I love kite surfing so much. I feel like I'm healing the whole time I'm out there in the water. Salt water, tears. It's like there's something in it that nature is giving us some clues. Salt and water, a saline solution and water, they've stabilized it in such a way that is so simple, so non-invasive, non-toxic, that it gets right into the cell. And using Sean's words earlier, it's almost like it turns them on. So I think this is pretty wonderful. So
just to mention one thing about the saltwater thing, because people look at it and say, oh, it's made from salt and water. It is. I told you I shot a video. It was saltwater.com. But just for people to get a grasp, this is a visual. And a lot of people say, oh, now I understand. So our cells are filled with saline. That's why when you go to the hospital, you get an IV, you get saline. I mean, and like you say, we sweat, it's salty, our tears, we're saline, and our cells are filled with it, right? But inside the mitochondria, you have sodium chloride, which is sodium and chloride, a molecule, and H2O, 2 hydrogen and oxygen is water, right? Those are 2 molecules. But if you split them apart, which is what happens, then you have hydrogen and oxygen. Now you have 2 here. And you split the sodium and chloride, you have 2 more sodium and chloride, you have 4. They can be combined in different forms. They don't have to be combined back into Sodium chloride in water. Hydrogen peroxide, that's a reductant. This is redox signaling molecules. This is not hydrogen peroxide. It's a bunch of reductants and oxidants. But as an example, H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide. That's not salt and water. Remember that, and glutathione, superoxide dismutase. These are reductants and oxidants. And the example I'll give is people say, oh, it's salt water. No. If I had an old car and I took it to the junkyard and they melted the thing down, they took the plastic out, the leather, everything burned down. All that's left is the steel, and it's molten. And they put it in a mold and they make a thermos, or they make a table, or they make a bolt or a screw. It's not a car anymore. It was a car. Now it's in a different form than it was. It's kind of a little different analogy, but this is much more than salt and water. And there's so many studies on it. And all you have to do is go take salt water out of the ocean and rub it on 10 people where their neck hurts 3 times in 5 minutes. And in 10 minutes, ask them how they feel. You're not going to see anything. You take the gel, shake it up, you put it on 3 times in 5 minutes, and you watch what almost every single person tells you. And then it's like, my God, what is this? So yes, saline is extremely important. And the clue is that when the investigation of this went back into the 90s, the company launched in 2009, but the investigation goes back into the 90s. They started with salt and water and playing around with salt and water and electrolysis. And that's how this whole thing started.
Electricity, there it is again, the body electric.
Yep.
Love it.
Great book.
Thank you so much, guys. I want to just kind of wrap this up. So Sean, I always love to, is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up, before I ask you this one question?
Find your why. I tell everyone, find your why and what inspires you to keep going. Because when you find your why and you can hold on to it and you believe in it, you won't stop. And I'm, this podcast and you two are so powerful to me because we're part of everyone's journey now. I want to be part of everyone's team, whether it's that survivor or their loved ones. Everyone's going through something, some kind of hardship at the moment. And when you find your inspiration, you find your why, anything is possible.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Would that be your number one vitality secret?
Yes. And just believe, my surrender to it and believe. It's like, you don't need to make sense of why everything works, but just surrender to something and believe in yourself and believe in what we're talking about. And it's all going to happen. Because, we don't need to understand everything all at once because the life is too complicated. And trust us and believe in us what we have to say, because I'm living proof of it. And so are you, Neil, and so is Dr. David. I mean, we're here to really tell the world that this is a game changer.
It's amazing. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, guys.
Dr. David, where does one go for the next steps? Do we provide?
Well, I just thought of something I wanted to say, and then I can answer that.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that's a breakthrough, and breakthroughs always sound too good to be true to the masses. Can you imagine living in the time of Thomas Edison and somebody saying, hey, this guy in the US invented this thing called a light bulb. We're not going to have to use a candle anymore. Or this guy invented an automobile. It has an engine. We don't need a horse, or the telephone, let alone the cell phone. I mean, these things are all mainstream to us now. I remember the first time I heard that they figured a way to send pictures on cell phones. I'm like, how can you send? There were no pictures. It's like, how are they going to do that? And then it's just like, it's the way it is. I've dedicated my life to making people aware of this until it becomes mainstream, and then they don't need me anymore to be out there promoting it and educating people about it. But it's a saying, I might mess this up, but it's good to be a learner, right? Well, there's a saying, I don't know who said it. Well, the learners will inherit the earth. The learned will find themselves perfectly suited to live in a world that no longer exists. And I talk to a lot of scientific people who say, I need bigger studies. I'll say, put the gel on 10 people who are hurting, and then you'll be investigating it, not to disprove it, to figure out how the heck did it work. And that's the way I've been operating. It's like, I can't give you everything, but I give you enough, something as safe as water, money back guarantee. So I don't know what kind of you're going to put up here for more information on this, whether you're going to put your email or your phone number or Sean's, whatever, but you do want to get this through an ASEA associate, an independent associate. It's produced in an FDA registered production facility in Pleasant Grove, Utah. It is shipped to 33 countries around the world. There's a money back guarantee. You know you're getting fresh product and you're getting authentic product. You don't want to get third party sales. You don't know where it's been, how it's been handled, and there's actually been counterfeit product already. But you need to contact the person, whatever contact information you're putting up here, Neil, and we get your questions answered. And one person can make a huge difference. You become like I did 11 years ago. I'm a believer. I told people, they told people, they told people, they told people. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people around the world. I don't even know. I wouldn't know Sean if I haven't helped my friend who lives in Phoenix, who knew his friend Sean, who told him. But I take this very seriously, and it's an obligation to me. I do my best to educate people about this. If they don't listen, I pray for them and the people they love. I know they'll be on the product one day. I mean, we're the early adopters. The masses are coming. But just take this very, very seriously and get your questions answered. Google is a search engine. It's not a research engine. People can write whatever they want. I go on Google, I see amazing things about ASEA, and then I see people saying, oh, it's expensive salt water. I mean, they're either selling something else or they just haven't taken the time to investigate it and even try it. So I just pray to God that everybody that's listening to this takes this very seriously for you or for someone you love.
Thank you, Dr. David Silverman. What's your number one vitality secret?
Mine?
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
That's touching.
Love that. I'm going to
Neil,
share.
How about you? What's your secret? What's your vitality?
I don't answer that question. I asked the question.
Okay. Okay. There you go.
My number one vitality secret. Well, for this call, it's going to be focusing on cell fuels. Always focus on cell fuels. Top of the hierarchy, before energy, before our state of mind is oxygen. You can't get higher up than that. This addresses it. It may not come as a surprise to you. I do have my own link. It's Vitality Secret. Is it myasea.live?
Oh, so, yours is vitalitysecret.teamasea.com. That's the easy way to do it.
That's it. I'll put a link below in the description. And yeah, I just want to say thank you so much again to both of you, to Sean for sharing your story, for sharing your journey. I think it's phenomenal. It's inspiring. You're going to help a lot of people. And to Dr. David Silverman for putting so much of your time and effort and energy into really getting this product out to the world. I think it's amazing already. It's working for me. It's working for my mum. I just sent some to my dad in his care home. So yeah, I'm excited for what is to unfold. So thank you so much to both of you.
Thanks for helping to expand the ripple. Really, I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Neil.